Well, last Tuesday in Bahrain, it was officially announced that the 2010 deadline for a Gulf Arab single currency will have to be extended and a new timetable set. This is a disappointment to many policymakers who had worked tirelessly towards this deadline and at the same time proved the critics wrong. Gulf nations have until this December to ratify a monetary union agreement and the charter governing the Monetary Council. Well, for some analysis now, we cross to Riyadh in Saudi Arabia and to the chief economist at the National Commercial Bank there, Dr. SaidAlShaikh. Well, Dr. Said, welcome to Inside Business. What is your response to the deadline for the GCC common currency being delayed?
I think it made a lot of sense because many of us had anticipated that delay. There are several issues that have not been resolved between the GCC member countries.
How important is the confirmation of a date and one that will be stuck to, avoiding any uncertainty in the future?
I think if they give a date, let's say 2014 or 2013 or whatever date, 13 or 14, it would allow the different institutions within the GCC countries to work toward that goal. But to announce a delay without suggesting a specific date would create apprehension in the market that maybe GCC countries are not ready sometime soon for currency union.
Now, Oman dropped out of monetary union plans in 2006. How strategic was this?
Oman has its own reasons, apparently. Oman, a smaller country compared to the rest of the Gulf members, has a smaller reserves compared to the other countries, and they haven't felt at this point in time that they will be able to abide by the criteria that other Gulf countries may agreed on or abide by for the convergence.
Kuwait dropped its dollar peg back in 2007. What signal did this send throughout other GCC nations?
Initially, it created uncertainties because the projects for this unified currency was threatened because Kuwait is a large GCC member and has a lot of resources. But given the reasons that made Kuwait to make that decision, it was understood that it was an isolated matter because they were fearing the continual rise of inflation, and they were under pressure by the public, by the parliament, to do something about inflation.
Now, Dr. Said, do you believe there can really be a GCC central bank, and how much independence will it have?
There are a lot of commonalities between the GCC countries, and it would give this economic bloc more power as it relates to relationship with the rest of the world, especially economic relationship. And they will be taken more seriously when it comes to commercial dialogues with the Europeans, with the Americans, and with any other party. In addition, it will encourage a lot of movement of capital between the Gulf members, having a unified currency.
Could we see in the future the GCC currency being the third currency after the dollar and euro, perhaps?
Well, not necessarily, because you have Japan, there with the yen. I mean, Japan is a large economy in the world, but it could be the fourth or fifth currency in the world in terms of strength.
What benefits to the regional economies would a common currency bring?
The greater value could come in the movement of capital between the Gulf countries. Using the same interest rate policy would allow for movement of capital. Also will deepen the capital market of the GCC countries. We'll see stocks cross-listed in the different different GCC countries using the same currency.
And just finally, who and what is the driving force behind a common currency at the moment?
Maybe Saudi Arabia and UAE will be the key drivers of this currency, of this future currency, of this unified currency, being the largest economies in the Gulf.
Okay, well, that's all we have time for. Dr. SaidAlShaikh on the line from Saudi Arabia. Thanks very much again for your time.
Thank you, Greg.
Well, that's it for this edition of Inside Business. You can contact the programme, as ever, by writing to ib@city7tv.com. But for now, from all of us on the business desk, goodbye, and we'll see you again soon.